everybody. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher.
Yes, sir.
How the heck are you, buddy?
I am doing good. Wearing my Summer Stage t-shirt, an event t-shirt at an indie show. Nice.
Good merch, man. We talked about that a little bit today on the Tapped In Indie podcast with Jack Jameson, of all people. We were talking a little bit about merch and about One Fall as a whole. And remember, man, if you were a member over on the Patreon page at patreon.com/tappedoutpod, you'd have caught it early. It's one of the perks, man, we always tell you about. But listen, you could do a free account just to watch all the shows there if you choose to. Or at that dollar level, you can get the show notes. Today's show notes are about a whopping 4 pages for the Tapped Out show. But this week it was like 13 pages for the for the spotlight and etc. I mean, it's a huge undertaking, and we don't always get to everything, so that's why there's value there. But of course, at the $5 level, you get the weekly content early. The $10 level, you get anything we do early, and of course, you get those digital copies of the Tapped Out collectibles. And Myron, at the $25 level, you're actually going to get the 8.5 by 11 physical autographed copy of the monthly Patreon exclusive Tapped Out collectible. That's why we think there's a huge value, in my opinion. I'm a little slow.
Massive. The best value in sports entertainment podcasting.
I believe so. But here, hey, look, man, let's get this out of the way. We look, you can't. We have said this all week, like, hey, look, I get it. It's complicated, but we're going to go at it from this approach. The pro wrestling business, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it at this point, lost, somebody who basically was just huge influence on massive amounts of people throughout the history, and lost. Hulk Hogan passed this past week. Any thoughts, before we kind of go down that?
Well, I hate to say it, but when I was a kid, I respected Hulk Hogan a lot more than I did my father. And as a 52-year-old man, I still see that Hulk Hogan that I respected as a kid. Right now, he was the original sports entertainer, and that's all I can really say about that. I think we should be remember he has kids and family and a wife that don't need to see all these horrible things being said about him. They probably know if he is a horrible person, those are the people that knows. But do they have to hear it? Maybe I'm being made too soft on him. I don't know.
No, man, look, and here's the way we talked about this, man. There's just no reason. Like, here's I've always said this in general, by the way. I always tell people, what's one of Nick's favorite sayings, that two things can be true at the same time?
Yeah.
Everybody has a right to their opinion. You have a right to express your opinion if you choose to. But timing could be cool. I mean, we could be like, hey, maybe not this week. Let his family grieve. Let his family, whatever. So I always tell people, I'm not saying you're wrong for thinking or feeling the way you feel. Just maybe not today. Like, you don't have to put it out there today.
I'm sure there'll be enough biographies and books
and have been,
things
right?
like that. Yeah, he'll if he did something wrong, he'll get his from it. I'm still trying to figure it all out.
He already has, but it doesn't change the fact what he accomplished in wrestling. How, I go back to all the way to the days of, the birth of Hulkamania, beating the Iron Sheik, WrestleMania 3, slamming Andre. Kind of from there, it kind of felt like the rocket ship was off. There, all of the things not to mention, by the way, Rocky 3, the Thunder Lips appearance, and then just on. And I got to remember, it was Hulkamania was 1, 2, 3, and 4. All these WrestleManias, he's main event. So I just kind of feel like, hey, look, I know there's a great debate out there about, is wrestling where it is today without him? If you have not heard, there's a very good conversation on one of the Bill Simmons podcasts this week, where he has David Schumacher, who used to do a podcast called it's a Cheap Heat, and used to do a podcast with Peter Rosenberg back in the day, a wrestling podcast that I used to listen to years ago. It's a really unique debate of like, if he doesn't have Hogan, like Vince is going to still do what Vince was probably going to plan on doing, but he probably just picks somebody different if he doesn't have Hogan.
Billy
Does it
Graham?
work?
Who?
Billy Graham was too old at that point. No offense,
No.
but he was already kind of getting too old.
Mm.
There was talks that it could have been Dusty. Would he have done Dusty? Would he have? Hey, he crossed his mind clearly at some point. But here's the other case: if they stall because of Hogan not being there, Crockett's got the leg up on because he's already got TBS, the Superstation. So do they beat them nationally? And you never know. Look, it doesn't happen without cable, which came along at the right time. Obviously, Vince, and look, I mean, you want to talk about a complicated passing when this guy goes, we're all going to be just spaghetti brained. And then you had to have Hogan, the right person to kind of be the guy that, remember, we saw him on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and we saw him on MTV, and we saw him on, pick you name it, man. I mean, yeah, exactly.
I got that for Father's Day. Nick, it came crashing down, and it hurts inside.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about the whole thing.
So, look, on one hand, like you said, we get it. And I totally understand, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong. My argument's real simple is, hey, still feel bad for the family, still feel bad for his friends. And you can genuinely, like a lot of people talking and just, I was trying to talk to people who knew him and not listening to people on social media that didn't. I kind of thought that was kind of a better way to approach it. And, that's kind of where we are. I'm going to leave it at that, RIP Hulk. I mean, look, and then, look, what you think of Hulk Hogan and what you think of Terry Bollea could be two different things. And if you don't think so, how do we separate actors?
Yeah.
Like, I love this guy's movies, but I think he's an idiot when it comes to this, or this.
Yeah.
Happens all the time. So we'll miss the wrestling piece. Well, man, let's get on to more positive stuff. It is SummerSlam. It is here. First 2-night SummerSlam. Here's the question. I'm going to ask you one that's not on the notes because I wanted to completely blindside you with this question. Did we really need 2 nights of SummerSlam?
Yes.
Why?
More wrestling. Cardi B and her smelly butt and all the other things. It's going to be wild, Nick. Come on.
I don't
think about it. What if we Sunday go see it in the theater, me and you, and just check it out? I said I didn't want to do it, but the more we've talked about it, I kind of want to check it out.
$27 and just to see night 2 in an IMAX, because that's what it's in the Mall of Georgia IMAX. That's the closest one to us.
I will be putting my Venmo up so you can pay for me to go see.
Yeah, exactly.
Fans, send in $27 each. $54.
Yeah.
And then we will go see it and let you know. Maybe some popcorn for your buddy. Okay?
Listen, my argument's simple, man. I get it. More wrestling, awesome. We didn't need 2 nights of SummerSlam. I've argued. I just think it's too much. I love the formula because, by the way, it's starting at 6 o'clock apparently. The pre-shows are going to start at 3.
Sounds like an AEW show, for Christ's sake.
I'm wondering what time they're going to end. Is it going to end at like 10? It's a good question. But hey, look, the cards come out. Let's get into a little bit of this because this is going to take a while to chop with this, because this is why we have. Here's my argument back to: did you need 2 nights? There's going to be matches you're going to hear, unfortunately, that I'm like, we probably could have lived without this, kind of argument. This is going based off of a report that was put out night 1. They didn't have the main event. I kind of got a feeling we know who it's going to be. But night 1 is the women's tag team champions, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, will defend against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. I know you're big on Roxanne Perez. I want to ask you a question. Are you into this Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss team as much as I
am digging it. I have never seen Charlotte and this people liking her this much. Okay? The whole the pom-poms and all this, totally over, Nick. They got merch already for this deal. They're gonna take the belts, and then we're gonna get a
Sure.
storyline out of that.
I
But
hope so. Let
um,
me ask you this. This is kind of what I want to throw at you here a little bit. And I get it. A lot of people don't like Charlotte. She's a nepo baby, blah blah blah. All those kind of things that they talk about. She looks like she's kind of having fun.
she's having fun. She's smiling,
Yeah.
and we're really gonna see how important Liv Morgan is. If this is going to be that time, this is the biggest match they've had. Her and Raquel Rodriguez. Can they handle it? They've been undefeated so far. But
I
is
just
this
think
the
this is
match?
too powerful of a team. I think this is too powerful of a team for them.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that's just me. Again, these aren't in any particular order. The World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther will defend against CM Punk. This is not in the list. There was a question sent in. I just figured I'd insert it here. Somebody asking, would they really let CM Punk win the title off of Gunther here at SummerSlam?
Yeah. There's no guarantee who's going to win this. Gunther is the man. Him losing the title would give CM. I don't know how long CM Punk's going to wrestle again this time. Does he want a title run? He got a WrestleMania main event, but is he going to get a title run out of it?
I think he eventually may, but
Love the promo.
he signed a multi-year extension,
Okay.
so he's going to be around for at least for a couple more years. I honestly believe now. We always do like tinfoil hat Nick here. And this is only the if the whole Seth thing is completely a work, he's going to cash in my opinion, on one of the two title matches. He just has to. My preference and story is that it's this one, because there's a reason for it. It's the belt that's on Raw already.
Mm-hmm.
And he cashes in to prevent, and I've said this last week, I think, he cashes in to prevent CM Punk from winning again, to continue the constant, CM Punk, he has said it in promos, CM Punk will not be the world champion as long as I'm here.
Well, his homies are on this show. It's the Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns and Jay. I'm so confused about what's going on with that faction. I don't know what. Paul Heyman's out there recruiting and telling people, talking to people, and then he's got these superstars, and really confused. His promo last night on Raw really confused me. I don't know what I'm going into with this at all, but we'll see. And it might be a whole thing with the Seth thing. The whole Seth thing might tie into this somehow.
I think Seth would make more sense in the title match, like I said, cashing in.
Yeah.
Comes full circle. We'll come back to that. Well, let's just jump to the order. You brought it up. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. I think all of it's just to kind of that could be the distraction piece. That's why, by the way, I'm guessing that the world title match goes on last.
Yeah.
So the Roman Jey match has already happened. Braun and Bronson Reed, they've kind of already done their thing. I just feel like it was, if Seth's not out, you would ask your question, why is he not in this match instead?
And Paul Heyman's carrying the case too.
That's my point.
The thing is, it's a contract that that someone can cash in. The case is, does that mean a member of a faction can cash in?
If Seth was hurt, here's the reason there's a little bit of a nugget to tinfoil hat Nick. If Seth's really hurt and there's no shot he's going to cash in, why is Heyman carrying that thing around? If he continues like he is carrying that thing, it makes sense the night that Seth, if he shows up here at SummerSlam to cash in, it would make sense that Heyman had it on him already, because he's been carrying it the whole time anyway.
Yeah.
You don't have to wonder, well, why is he carrying it tonight? He hadn't been no, he's been carrying it the entire time, so maybe that's the case. I don't know. We'll see.
You got to sell them tapped out hats with a tinfoil lining in them just to be on the safe side.
We
Pre-made,
should.
Nick endorsed, tinfoil line, tapped out wrestling podcast hats.
Speaking of tinfoil Nick, here we go. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll are supposed to take on Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. By the way, folks, again, we are recording. This is so news and stuff can change here. But Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul taking on Jelly Roll and Randy Orton. Couple notes here that I want to go over. One, let's get the big one out of the way. As of recording, Drew McIntyre is still stuck overseas. And his question, can he get back?
Yeah, that was pretty stupid, dude. I don't know. We both had an argument earlier. I read one thing. You read something else. We don't know who's stopping him. We don't know if it's a work. But
listen, I don't know if you saw his video that he did. He blames Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll has used his power to get him stuck over there, so he can't make it back, and therefore it's all on Jelly Roll. That's why he can't get home. Jelly Roll scared.
The whole name Jelly Roll and the power of Jelly Roll. Behold the power of Jelly Roll. You must stay in that country. This is crazy. But you know what? You want to keep drawing attention. You want to draw eyes. You say Jelly Roll as many times as you can. You say Logan Paul as many times as you can.
I will say this. I don't know if you caught SmackDown.
I did.
Jelly Roll and Logan Paul. You have absolutely, without question, have to tip your cap to those guys. That was a long promo for two non-traditional wrestlers. Jelly Roll, not a wrestler, period. At least Logan Paul's been around the game for a while, and I get it. He's an entertainer. He's a singer. He's up on stage. Dude, there are wrestlers who couldn't handle that much mic time and carry it. Yeah. So for those two to pull it off, I'm like, dude, somebody has a little bit of a gift of gab on the mic. Look, was it the greatest promo of all time? I'm not saying that, but I'm telling you, they did a great job to carry I think it was an 8-minute promo.
Yeah. And people want to watch it because Jelly Roll's in it. That's just what this is about. This is your attraction, your special attraction match. This is going to get people to look at it that wouldn't normally want to see this. I bet you'll see Jelly Roll's face all over Peacock too.
Oh, yeah, there's a match graphic with the four of them in there. Although there was a match graphic that leaked out with The Miz in the place of Drew McIntyre because he has kind of volunteered to fill in. I am not shocked in the least. Miz is like, hey, if there's an opening on SummerSlam, I still work here. Just letting y'all know.
He's back from the Gladiators, right? He's done filming that.
Yeah, I'm assuming maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
they said something about that on Raw last night.
Yeah. But my point, that's a Miz thing, right? Like, hey,
oh yeah,
don't forget I work here. I'll do whatever you need done.
He did that gimmick for quite some time about volunteering to get into stuff.
Yeah. The WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton defense against Jade Cargill. This is probably, again, for the future. I get it. There might be a lot of people that don't see it. I think this is a huge match for the future of women's wrestling in the WWE because I think these two potentially have the opportunity to be faces.
Yes. With Charlotte and Becky and Bayley, the next round could very well be Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill. I don't know who your third person is going to be, but yeah.
I mean, look, we're going to get to somebody who I think they believe is probably one of those people here shortly, I'm sure. Yeah. Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross. I'm super excited this one because I am just glad that Kross has something with a little bit of meat on the bone to work with. And the promos are really, really good. And of course, Sami can go with anybody. And so I think potentially this could be night one, absolutely a show stealer of a match. But I'm just hoping storyline-wise it develops into something a little more for Karrion Kross. Let's get into night two. Would arguably, I have put down in our show notes, could absolutely, without question, be the sleeper match of the weekend. And that is the Intercontinental title match, Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles.
I'm more excited for this than just about anything else on the cards.
It's
Uh,
up there.
the promos and the appearances and the AJ hiding in the back and dressing up like the valet and stuff like that. Oh man, I'm loving that so much. That gave me Attitude Era vibes down deep in my heart.
What was it last week when he's like, "Is it still burning? Was he pee or can he wrestle yet?" Like, kudos to AJ. We got a little more AJ conversation coming up in the questions and answers section of the show, so absolutely check that out later in the episode. I'm going to save that one for last, obviously, for obvious reason. The next one's in the notes. Steel cage match, Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu for the United States Championship. Thoughts before I give my opinion?
My thoughts are, what's the point of a steel cage to keep out all of the bloodline or the MF or MTs or the MFTs? What's the point if they can just walk down there and open the gate or climb over? Okay, we need a real cage match. Where the point of cage matches is so nobody can get in with you, and you have to save it. Right? That's don't like the idea, but I like the idea at the same time.
I think we're probably both, even with a steel cage match, I still believe that there's going to be massive involvement across the board with it, with some type of, with Bloodline. I mean, I'm clearly thinking probably Jimmy's involved. Obviously, a lot of the solo group's going to be in there as well. But I feel like there's a potential for a debut of somebody, or because here's the thing, Roman and Jay are night one. This is night two.
Yeah.
We could start seeing the pieces coming back together.
Imagine if we got Jacob and Solo in like one of the old style cage matches where the door was locked and they just beat the living hell out of each other, come up bloody like in the old days. That's two guys that could really, really beat the hell out of each other.
Oh yeah. No DQ match for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Becky Lynch will defend against Laya Valkyria, and if Lynch retains, she cannot challenge again as long as Becky holds the title.
Is Lyra getting over? Are you picking up more of that when she comes out? Instead of coming out all like a peacock, she's coming out just as like a, cutesy girl.
I do like kind of progressing that gimmick a little bit. It's still going to take time, and I get it, folks. I think that's she's a great example of not everybody has that instant connection and, shoot straight to the top. We've seen guys that are like 8-9 years in their career and they finally click and they're off to the races. I hope she's not one of those. But look, I'm just not, I just don't think it's time. Becky just got that title, relatively speaking. I don't think they're going to take that.
I can't predict this one. I cannot predict this one. But it's going to be good for both of them. I mean, Becky doesn't really need the push, but Lyra gets a better rub every time she wrestles her. Yeah. So
Naomi will defend the Women's World Championship against Io Sky and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat match. Look, I don't know if you've caught any of the WWE Unreal. Rhea Ripley is a pretty main focus of the episodes that are there. Mm-hmm. We've heard word that it has come out that essentially Triple H thinks she's one of the big three for the future of the company. It was her, Braun Breaker, and Jacob Fatu. He thinks those are really huge pieces to the future of WWE, and I agree with that.
Dude, though, Naomi is killing it. This has been Naomi's year. Go nasty, get in feuds, beat up Jade Cargill, do all that other stuff. She's had it all year. I really don't want to see her lose it yet. I just want to see her causing problems and stuff. But yeah, Rhea's great.
I think Naomi's going to cause some problems, but I think she's going to be causing it without a world championship, in my opinion. Of course, the main event, night 2, in a street fight, the undisputed WWE Championship on the line. John Cena defends against one Cody Rhodes. And this one just has everybody's tinfoil hats going everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, better put on your antennas and all the other stuff, folks. What do you do with this? Are we going to let Cena just keep it? How much longer we got? He ends in December, and this is about to be August. It's getting short, folks. Is he still going to turn babyface? Because you're going to need to get that belt off of him to be a babyface.
Let me ask you: the longer he goes, does he? Look. I get it, folks. Here's in my heart of hearts. Yes, I think he's gonna turn babyface eventually, and maybe he has a babyface run. But then there's a fantasy booker in me that goes, but why does he have to? Why doesn't he just give you one solid year of everything you claimed you wanted for 20-something years? You guys claimed you wanted him heel, and his last year he gives you everything you wanted, that heel Cena, and at the end of the last night he's there, he's still a heel. He gets beat, and the crowd gives him his respect on his way out. And that's it, folks. That's what you get.
But who's going to do the Make-A-Wish?
Hey, it's not like he can't, hey, after the match, be like...
Maybe he's just tired of doing Make-A-Wish. Maybe that's why he went in. I'm tired of them damn kids. I think I'll be a bad guy for a while. Who knows?
Listen, I heard there was a running joke theory. Cody came out there and was like, hey, at SummerSlam, I don't want this John Cena. I want the old John. What if he gives it to you?
He wanted hustle, loyalty, and respect.
John Cena comes out at SummerSlam. He plays the music. He gives you the video on the Tron. But when he gets into the ring, he still gives you, the Cena that's now, and he picks up the win. I don't know. A lot of people have thrown out Seth cashing in here. He may. I'm not saying this. I just don't think from a story perspective it makes much sense here. I think you're going one of two ways at this point with Cody and Cena. You're either going to pull the trigger again and put the title back on Cody, and you'll figure out a way to flip, like John kind of progresses from there. We have a theory where it could lead if he does lose. We'll get to that one here shortly with one of the questions.
Cody does better promos when he doesn't have the belt. That's just my humble opinion.
It's just going to come to, and here's the thing, hearing Triple H say, John's got a right to go out kind of the way he wants to go out, and we're going to try to accommodate that as much as possible. If John wants to be a heel all the way through, so be it. I pray that is not the case. I'll tell you why. We have purchased tickets to see him in Chicago.
Oh, you're going to Chicago. Oh, cool.
I really need him to be a babyface when we go to see him. I really do. It will not be a fun trip if it is not the case and he's still a heel. So I will be patiently watching on Sunday, praying and pleading that he turns at SummerSlam. But it is what it is, folks.
Have you told your wife he's a heel yet?
She knows. She doesn't like it in the least. She's watching. But, she's watching pretty much every clip John Cena's on TV.
As you've told the story 1,000 times.
Myron, she looks at me every time and says, yeah, I don't like this. And
without John Cena,
we're not married.
You wouldn't be married.
Yeah.
He's been a marital aid.
Exactly. Oh. So we'll get to where another theory, but hopefully, yes, he does. I hope he does drop the title at SummerSlam, and we will go from there. We'll see. One of the questions, before we get into the actual questions, we took one question and kind of made it a segment that we wanted to talk about since it is SummerSlam season. Nate from Philadelphia asked us, what are some of your favorite SummerSlam main events of all time? We had to go digging through Wikipedia because we didn't realize at first. You have to think about it. This is basically SummerSlam 38.
Yeah.
Basically.
SummerSlams. And there were some turds in there.
Boy, were there ever. We were looking through and we were talking about the lean years that we always forget when, we look back in with rose-colored glasses and talk about all the great times, and we see there's literally a run of the beginning where it's really good, and then it just kind of
yeah,
and then you come back into a period that's pretty good again. We didn't put these in a particular order. We kind of just were like scrolling through and kind of like almost kind of like, yeah, that one, that one, that one, that one. Let's start with, arguably, you got to go with, like, here kind of works just like WrestleMania 1 in the sense of, hey, you got to go to the first one. SummerSlam 1988, Madison Square Garden, Hogan and Savage versus DiBiase and Andre with special referee Jesse the Body Ventura. I mean, it's the first SummerSlam, dude.
And think about this. I don't know what year it was, but it's your main event from WrestleMania 3. Half of the best match from WrestleMania 3. Ted DiBiase and his wad of cash and that lunatic Jesse Ventura. As a child, imagine how excited we'd have been if we were doing a wrestling podcast at 88 at 16. Imagine how excited we'd have been about this. That's awesome. That's a huge main event.
It was. I mean, look, it was the. Do you remember this is the skirt spot with Miss Elizabeth where she kind of does the skirt and distracts?
Oh, she ripped it off.
And so set up obviously a huge story. Like
in his eyes. I can't do that.
That's where it started. Clearly he had this is where Hogan started with the lust in his eyes for sure. So that's kind of one of ours. We picked SummerSlam 88. That's Mega Powers versus the Mega Bucks. Obviously, look, there is no SummerSlam list without 92, Wembley Stadium, 80,000 plus people for the Intercontinental Championship. Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog versus Bret the Hitman Hart. I'm sitting here trying to think in my head. People will argue some match that happened at one of the All-Ins, probably. Sure, knock yourself out. Still, probably the biggest sweet spot in your heart for the biggest match and best match over in that stadium. For me, will always probably be this one.
And they couldn't even get this live in America. It was on a tape delay. The first pay-per-view ever outside the continental United States. Imagine, 92? Well, they send it by telegraph? I mean, this was...
It was totally different, man. That's what I'm saying. Like everything was so different back then, and that's kind of why it was the first one.
And they were so good, too. Those two guys were so good.
Involved the families, had, Davey Boy's wife, Bret's sister, okay, I said that as though it wasn't the same person, but you get what I'm saying. It was the same person. But
family.
It literally, why it was it because the stature of the match itself made the Intercontinental title even more important. That it was like, it essentially, I get it, folks. Don't come at me with the technically it wasn't the main. It was the main event, folks. Let's go to the third one. SummerSlam 97. Undertaker, Bret Hart. Shawn Michaels was the special guest referee. This was kind of a hotbed spot that Shawn and Bret were feuding. If Bret lost, he couldn't wrestle in the U.S. anymore. But if Shawn didn't call it down the middle and caused Bret to lose, he was out. And kind of all of this stuff, why does it stand out? This is essentially led directly to the formation of DX, the Montreal Screwjob. All of those kind of start here. So one could argue, was this Myron that one of the pivotal spots as far as we head into the Attitude Era?
Attitude Era getting started around here. Michael Cole's first pay-per-view. So much cool happening. This launched the entire, 97? This is when they were going to beat the 83 weeks. I can't remember what date they beat 83 weeks.
Well, still got a little ways. You still got some ways.
But this is what laid the groundwork for beating WCW right here.
Yeah. Look, 83 weeks was quite a beatdown, but it wasn't a beatdown on the comparison notes to SummerSlam 2014. Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Staples Center for the World Heavyweight Championship. Folks, if you've never thought you would see a main event, now listen, I know there's that Goldberg-Lesnar outlier thing. That wasn't a squash, by the way. Lesnar versus Cena in a main event and a world title match. This was a squash match, essentially, folks.
Oh, yeah, and I just read the summary a little while ago, and it was like 7 German suplexes, 7 this suplex, F5, F5. Seven of the amount of suplexes Cena went through in this was unbelievable. How did the man survive to go on to main event this SummerSlam after that SummerSlam?
It was really unique because I since then, look, we've seen Cena talk about this, and it was kind of like, hey, he was kind of involved. He thought it was a great idea because it did do what it was trying to do at the time. We had just seen, like, how do you make Brock even more menacing and a bigger, larger than life monster? This is it. Let him beat John Cena, Mr. Hustle, loyalty, respect, that just kind of was beating everybody. And he just destroyed him. So that completely set the table. Mm-hmm. The year prior makes our list as well. SummerSlam 2013, also Staples Center. Daniel Bryan versus John Cena for the championship. Triple H is the special guest referee. Bryan wins. Look, this was a very unique situation at a place when we had Bella, Bryan, Cena, like that whole thing's kind of, but Daniel Bryan wins, but he only gets hosed over by Triple H, Randy Orton cashing in. And essentially what this begins is what, Myron?
That began the yes movement. As I do this in my lightning shirt. Yes. Yes.
And it did. That began the long road to WrestleMania 30. Daniel Bryan at the time, folks. Yes, it was Daniel Bryan at the time. And it kind of like sucked everybody in and got us to the point to where at that point the fans got so behind Daniel Bryan that they organically forced the WWE to put him in that main event and put the title on him. So
and get him up to the top of the card too, you know.
Honorable mention, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Why so is because it was a tribal combat match. But, look, it's just outside of this list that we have. I would say it made the list, to be honest with you. But it was such a key pivotal part of the Bloodline storyline that we felt like it had to be on the list. This is essentially where Jimmy kind of finally kind of turns and he joined, went the other way with Roman. So, absolutely, I think deserves to be on the list as well.
Solid.
Let's jump into the questions. And, man, remember, every single week, send your questions to tappedoutpod@gmail.com. It's much easier than sifting through them on all of the social media, like direct messages, private messenger, and all that kind of stuff. So, again, tappedoutpod@gmail.com is the easiest place. And remember, if you're a Patreon member, we almost always promise you your question will make the list.
I get more Facebook messages than one of those naked models does here lately.
Feels like it at times. Trust me, it does. Javier from El Paso. If the rumors of AJ Styles retiring within the next year are true, who should his final match be against? We put a few down, and let's work our way reverse. We came up with one, Ricky Saints, because one of the logical options is what, Myron? Go somebody young and help put the kid over.
Put him over, and this is a guy that's got some magic, a guy with unlimited potential. Would he benefit from AJ Styles' last match? Yes.
If it's a win. And plus, you got to remember, how do you walk this line? Sorry, I'm getting creative in what I'm going to say here. Because all the rumors say he's going to be retiring sometime within, like, maybe next summer, WrestleMania, somewhere. Ricky Saints would have a little bit of time to, like, progressively get closer to the main roster and get there to set up a feud. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Penta, just for the sheer fact it'd be a hell of a match.
That'd be another good one.
Gunther, because apparently Gunther's going to be the guy that's who everybody has their final match with.
Mr. Retirement.
Yeah.
Social Security.
He's going to retire Goldberg. The rumor is he'll retire Cena. Then why not make it AJ Styles and just have him put them all? He's going to put old Yeller down 1 time, 2 time, 3 times, 4, whatever. Listen, the top 2 are different. They're kind of obvious, but at the same time, John Cena, right? Like John Cena's a great option for a multitude of reasons. I don't think we're getting that one because we sidebarred this earlier, so I wanted to come back to it. If John Cena loses the title at SummerSlam, let's open the door by AJ Styles defeating Dominic Mysterio to get the Intercontinental Championship. And let's have John Cena and AJ Styles have the rematch over in Paris.
Yeah.
Like, let them wrestle over in Paris or something
I honestly though, I think they're going to keep it on. They're going to keep it on Mysterio after that pop he got in AAA the other day, and with a big AAA event coming up, I think he's going to keep the belt.
I think it's a cool tool to use for just for the sake of John Cena chasing the one title he doesn't have. He gets it. It gives him a reason why he could wrestle AJ Styles, for that title. Those fans overseas at the Clash Paris? I can't remember what they're calling it. The Clash in Paris or whatever it's called. But that would be a huge opportunity for them to capitalize on that one. And then, of course, CM Punk's an easy answer. Just because of the long roads they both traveled, to get to the WWE to begin with. Lots of, just history there. Why not? I mean, promos will be good leading up to it.
As we started the show and we're going through the first part, I had this brilliant idea for someone else, so Nick. Who else on the roster that you know of today spent time in the Landmark Arena in Cornelia besides AJ Styles? Who's been there forever?
Xavier Woods. That's come up a couple times.
That has. I think it needs to be R-Truth.
Both got some TNA, yeah. Got the roots there in TNA. I mean,
they've been around together forever. I think that's probably my emotional favorite, but that's just me.
Corey from Denver, if you could bring back one defunct title in the WWE today, what would it be and why? Myron, you gave your favorite answer. Let's say
24/7. 24/7.
So you would take 24/7 over the hardcore title.
Well, the 24/7 was pretty hardcore at times. It was a lot of fun. It was crazy. You never knew when it was going to happen. You never knew what was going to go on with it. Hardcore title, hell, everybody's doing that stuff now.
I just don't know that they could. Could's probably not the right word. I don't know that they would do a hardcore title, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you're right. I think the 24/7 was the gimmicky one that they went for. But Corey, to answer your questions, I wouldn't. I'd be getting rid of titles and not adding titles.
Yeah,
so there's that.
I agree with that. There's 2 or 3 they could cut.
Quickly, I could come up with several. Lance from Brooklyn, New York. If The Rock had never left for Hollywood, would John Cena have ever become the top guy? We had this in two or three different forms, believe it or not, that were very similar. I had one that was if Austin hadn't gotten injured and left. I had one Rock. So it's kind of a combination of the two. So I was going to merge this. Lance, I appreciate the question. I'm going to kind of blur it into kind of two questions becoming one. If The Rock hadn't left and gone to Hollywood and Austin hadn't gotten injured and his career would have kept going, would John Cena have ever become the top guy? What do you think?
He's John Cena, folks. I really do believe he is. It's John Cena, for Christ's sake. He could have gotten as big. It would have took longer with those two guys there. And it may not have been as much, but he'd have got it over still.
Well, let me argue this one. Because I think you're right. I think the best still find a way to rise to the top. He would have had to find a different way. As we all remember, there was a big speech about ruthless aggression and go out there and seize the opportunity. And he does that with Kurt Angle, has that moment. And we're off to the races with John Cena kind of after that, essentially. However, The Rock wasn't going to wrestle forever. Austin wasn't going to wrestle forever either way. Even if he wasn't injured and retired when he did, at some point he's still going to start getting older and slowing down and becoming a part-timer, call it whatever. I mean, like, at what point would Austin and, The Rock, they'd have became The Undertaker, basically wrestling at WrestleMania. So I even think less than that. I mean, think about it. Taker got there to the end. It was literally like, hey, it's WrestleMania season. Somebody go wake up the dead man, But so I just kind of think that that's eventually they all start slowing down. You still need somebody who's out there grinding as the world champion on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So would he have been the top guy? I think he figures it out. The drive and everything he's got, he still figures it out. A little more cloudy, a little harder to get there.
Yeah.
But I still think he figures it out. Trevor from Detroit has a AEW question. What's next for Jon Moxley after the Texas Death Match with the Hangman? Man, look, honest answer, Moxley deserves a break. And I mean that as a positive.
I don't know if he's come back. I'm behind on the AEW. I've got so much in the DVR right now. I think he needs to go away. After that match, you need to go away. You were injured. Go take a break.
I mean, I just mean like, okay, yeah, he's back, but I mean just from the sense of backpedal out of the title picture for a minute. Like, make less things, and that's what I would have done with him. That's just me personally. But, yeah, I agree. If you could have just taken him off TV and had him gone for 4 or 5 months maybe, who knows? Let him get a – and I say, look, by the way, I'm saying it nothing from a like a product perspective. I mean, like, every time, with all due respect, it feels like every time the company's got in trouble, they've put this belt on him. And, like, hey, could you be the Rock here for, like, not literally Rock, but, could you be the – kind of the anchor to hold this company down with the title, and he did it, and he did it, and like okay,
Johnny Unitas, for Christ's sake,
just let the guy, have a little break here. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Jay from Louisville, Kentucky. How should WWE book the SummerSlam 2-night format moving forward? Should women headline one of the nights? Why not?
I like two-night format. Right now, I think they could have had a woman main event one of the nights. We'll see how it goes forward in the future. They've done so well with women's wrestling lately. It's eventually going to happen. When? I don't know.
Let me ask you this way, and I try to. I apologize if I say something that I don't know how else to say this. There have been years where I thought the women should have main evented WrestleMania, which they have. There have been nights that it should have been a main event for SummerSlam or Money in the Bank or insert whatever pay-per-view. I think let the story dictate it. Don't try to force it. I think that's probably your best bet, is if there is a story that's the hottest story at the moment, put it at the top. Like, you're not putting... You can't, to me, justify putting a match over Cena and Cody right now.
No.
Just because of the sheer star power in that match. If you had told me they're putting that triple threat for the women's title as the main event of night one, okay. I'm not
if Liv Morgan had still been in the Judgment Day, would that match be more elevated? It's hard to say.
Yeah. But I get it. We're probably going to get Gunther and Punk main eventing night one. But again, I think they're all kind of on that level playing field there, so I can see that. But my argument is, you're still getting them. And then as long as they don't force it. Maybe that's the best phrase there. Don't force it and try to make it happen.
No.
Terrell from Charlotte, North Carolina. If Cody beats Cena at SummerSlam, does that officially pass the torch? Myron, I'm going to ask you this way. Hadn't it really already been passed?
Oh, well, gee, good googly moogly. They're determined to make Cody the superstar. He's got every single rocket, his van, his vodka, all that. He's on podcast. Yeah, the torch has been passed. Cena is a tool, not a tool, but he's a storyline tool right now. They're using him to put over and make Cody the biggest star in the world. And it's working. What are you gonna do? What are
Here's
you gonna do?
here, here's my take. Here's why I asked you: has the torch been passed? It ain't. Listen, I'm going to Chicago to see John Cena, so that should tell you everything you should know about what we think about John Cena. But here's the reality of it right now. John Cena wasn't the man to pass the torch. Roman Reigns was the man to pass the torch, and he did. So, I mean, that's where I kind of come from. Like, when I say it's already been passed, Roman passed it to Cody. Not, it wasn't seen as to pass anymore. John Cena, call it, he's the GOAT. He's whatever. He goes through all of those monikers. He's the Mount Rushmore guy, whatever. But when he was gone, like Roman had earned that. Here's the thing. I saw somebody say something the other day, and we'll part on this topic because it's not even in the notes. I saw somebody talking about Roman Reigns, and they made a point of saying, we're going to look back, because like we do now, we look back and like, oh man, we're so fond of the glass break and Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock or pick a wrestler. We look back even further than that, and we were just, Lord help us, we were, hey, Hulk Hogan back in the 80s and the 90s, whatever. How about this? Why don't you, why don't we not wait for another 10 years from now when we turn back around and we look and go, damn, Roman was good? Why can't we turn around right now and go, damn, Roman is good?
That, why I really do believe Roman was the guy that got killed by the internet more than just about anybody else. The internet and social media was at its peak when Roman was running. I just think Roman was the guy. They said bad things about Cena, but there was a time nobody liked Roman, even though he was probably one of the greatest of all time. And now when he comes back, everybody acts like he's the second coming of Jesus Christ when he walks out there. Wrestling's a fickle business.
It is.
And Roman was in a fickling period.
Yeah. It was an absolute wild thing to see. I'm glad. Look, I am really glad. I think he's getting his due. But Terrell, to answer your question, I think the torch was already passed. I think Roman passed it to Cody. It wasn't seen as to pass. Now, I think it's a little icing on the cake. If Cody can get this win back and he can beat John Cena, I agree with that comment. But I don't think there's much torch to pass there. But we'll see. Listen, SummerSlam's going to be huge this weekend. We appreciate all the questions. Again, make sure you're sending those questions in every single week. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. And, of course, if you're a member over on our Patreon page, patreon.com/tappedoutpod, and you send your messages, your questions over there, they will get onto the show for the most part. I always like to throw that disclaimer in there, for the most part. But make sure, look, whether you're at patreon.com or you're a paying member or a free member, hey, we prefer the paid ones because obviously you get a lot of content extra. You get the weekly shows early. You get everything we do early at a higher level. Get the digital collectibles or the actual physical 8.5 by 11 collectibles. All of those at the different tiers. We appreciate everybody who signed up over the last few days, man. I don't know what happened. We had a mad rash over the last few days of people signing up.
We were out there in front of everyone at Summer Stage.
Yeah, we're going to get there in just a second. Yeah, make sure everybody subscribe, turn the bell, notifications bell on YouTube and all that good stuff. But before we got out of here, I did want to ask you about that. Like, hey, we went to the One Fall show, Center Stage. They absolutely crushed it. We had, if you want to hear our thoughts across the board on this show, detailed breakdown, Jack Jameson and I covered that on the Tapped In show pretty in depth. I covered a little bit on the Georgia Spotlight as well. So there's plenty of coverage for that. So as far as the nuts and bolts of it, but Myron, just what was your thoughts of your whole experience there at the Center Stage?
I can sum it up. The guy that's the sponsor from Dalton Carpets, I was talking to him and I said, I don't know if you understand the gravity of what has happened here. This company that you have sponsored has put on an event, and nobody does that in Georgia wrestling. Put on an event in Center Stage. Draw 550 people. That's not a fundraiser show. That's not a show for your school or a fire department. A paid show in a historic venue, put on an amazing show, highlighted everybody they needed to highlight. This was it. This is why Scott Barnett is the promoter of the year for 2025, in my opinion, maybe longer the way he's going. Okay. They achieved something very, very special. This was an epic event. Um, you got to see people rewarded for hard work.
Yeah.
You got to see people who would come out and wrestle in the blazing heat at some beer show in Duluth were rewarded for that dedication by getting to wrestle in center stage. Who gets to wrestle in center stage in indie wrestling in Georgia anymore? That's
People
pretty
who
awesome.
work for One Fall. That's who.
But they rewarded their local and loyal, not their local, they rewarded their loyal workers. And that's special. I had an amazing time. I got to interact with so many people. I came away from it just like in awe of what we did and what, getting to walk around and all that. Oh my God. You were Mr. MJF. You were his personal assistant, walking him back and forth, getting into places. I got to yell at people to get out their QR codes.
That was a unique experience. Look, with Happy Gilmore 2 coming out, we had the privilege, maybe is the better word. We got to stand back and watch MJF insult people all night as he did his personal meet and greets, and us on occasion. But look, he took his time. I give him that. He saw everybody.
He insulted everybody personally. He took his time. Everything about that show worked. Was there a problem? No. Were there
anything that was a problem, Myron?
You didn't remember it?
It didn't matter.
You remember when you had a Christmas as a kid and didn't remember your father was hammered drunk? That was kind of like what it was, because I was so excited to get those G.I. Joes. I didn't know Dad was blasted. So,
without any question, as we've covered it on both shows, the other shows I told you, by any metric that you were trying to do, that was a successful show. Whether it was the quality of wrestling, how the fans were entertained from top to bottom, the crowd that they got, all the above, the vibe, everything coming out. I strongly encourage you to go check us out on the Tapped In show, Jack Jameson and I, and then the Georgia Wrestling Spotlight as we go through that whole thing. There's lots of people that deserve a lot of credit, and we appreciate them for being, hospitable to us and letting us kind of come in there. And I said to them, hey, and I don't mind working if it's, we're going to
Scott's wife
help out.
Is a wonderful person to deal with. Absolutely wonderful woman to deal with. Not a complaint about anything I interacted with all night. And I bitch about everything.
I won't go there. We'll leave that be. Well, on that note, man, got anything else before we get out of here this week? Because we're gonna a couple of shows we're gonna hit this week. We may split. For those wondering where we're gonna be, I know you've considered that you may go to Royston to their big quarterly show.
Yep.
I may bolt and go the other direction. One Fall's running in Watkinsville. It's the fallout from the center stage show. So I was kind of like, I may go that way.
I told my buddies I got to go. Now I'm off work on Friday. You heard it right. Myron is no longer retired. I think I'm going to go up there and see my buddies in Royston. Tell everybody at One Fall I said hello. We got a Southern Fried on Saturday. We're going to have to scoot home and watch our night one, and then get ready for night two.
Yeah, that's the plan as of right now. So hopefully we'll see you out there either at Royston at the APW/SCO show. By the way, I kind of teased the whole teaser. At least at the end of that show, we'll know who I get to finally call it permanently going
We don't
forward.
have to worry about changing names again. Let's just get this show named.
Or I'll be up at the One Fall show, and then on Saturday we'll both probably be there at Southern Fried on Saturday, checking them out, because we already know we're going to probably miss the next show. So at Southern Fried on the 16th. So calendar's filling up quick for the month of August, folks. But just go out there, check that spotlight out. Now that we've added it to YouTube, it's got a much bigger base out there. So make sure you're following us there and making sure you're getting out and seeing a show somewhere. That's all I'm going to say, somewhere. And so with that note, now let's try this again. Anything else you got before we get out of here?
Nope.
What's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.